To start off, Death Stranding is one of the biggest, most detailed games that I've played in a long time. For that reason, this video will not cover off on all of the gameplay mechanics or story elements. I will, however, avoid all major story and gameplay spoilers and attempt to keep this as brief as possible. G'day everyone, I am Lucas from the Aussie Gamers Experience, and today I'm going to take a look at Death Stranding, which is available now on the PlayStation 4. Since the release of Death Stranding, the internet reviews have been fairly mixed, from some fans claiming this is an absolute masterpiece, while others openly tout that this is a lifeless, mind-numbing walking simulator that is quite possibly the worst experience of the year. Well, here's what I think. I must admit that I was reluctant to play Death Stranding up to its release, that I wasn't hyped for the game at all, which I really attribute to its confusing and downright misleading advertising campaign which preceded its release. Death Stranding appeared to be a confusing mashup of all things weird, just like how Kojima usually goes about making his games. However, in the past, video games with the Kojima name attached to it usually had a clear vision of what you could expect. Then comes Death Stranding, a new IP with new characters and a new world like never seen before. It was hard to know what to expect. I have received a review copy of Death Stranding from Sony, but let it be known that no agreements have been made for favourable or specific opinions here. I will 100% own what I say about the game in this video. So I started to play Death Stranding. Why not? I had the game anyway. The story started to unfold pretty clearly to me. It all started to make sense pretty early on, which I like. The world has been changed by a major event known as the Death Stranding. Your main goal in the game is to travel by foot or vehicle across America to reconnect a kind of internet-like system known as the chiral network. In connecting all of the regions, you will need to hand-deliver packages, some out of necessity for the task at hand, and some to win over the leaders of those regions to get them to join you in connecting America. On the way, you will encounter tough terrain where you will need to use certain tools to make your way. 3D printing is a thing in this game, so that's a win too. The rain here is known as timefall and will age anything that it touches, so don't spend too much time getting wet. This also damages your packages. Death Stranding is a single-player game, however it does take place in an online environment. Once you've connected that chiral network into a region, you will see a selection of usable structures, some signs and objects including ladders and climbing ropes that have been left behind by other real players that are playing the game. You won't ever see these players, but you can take advantage of their items that they've used in their own personal games. This is a really neat way of integrating a social experience, but by limiting that experience to nothing but positivity and assisting other players. There's no trolling here. There are two main enemies in the game. The BTs, that's the beached things, and the mules. Now the mules are a kind of mentally challenged or strange being that have some sort of affinity for delivering packages, so they will attack you, try to steal your packages, so they can deliver them. Yeah, weird, huh? On top of those two, there are some bosses in the game which I'm not going to comment on any further. The BTs, or beached things, are best described as ghosts. They only become visible thanks to a BB that is strapped to your chest, which is communicated to you through the Obradec, which is the fan-looking thing on your shoulder. It will look towards where the BTs are and flicker and flash the closer they get. Now the BBs, these are your tiny little babies. They're called bridge babies that can bridge the gap between the normal world and the BTs. So essentially you will encounter BTs randomly around the world, and you can either avoid them or go all offensive on their asses. Either way you go, it's gonna be a creepy ride. Put quite simply, and this is hard to do, Death Stranding is a walking simulator that is more akin to survival games like Fallout 3 than passive games like Dear Esther. The main focus here is on inventory management and terrain traversal. Using vehicles is a godsend at times, but the game has a way of limiting that use with unforgiving mountainous terrain that vehicles just can't manage. As you progress through the game, you will unlock countless new gameplay mechanics. Seriously, this was impressive how many times I got something new, and these things will greatly improve your ability to get from A to B with less issues, but it never gets to the point where it's just flat out easy. Something that has to be said is that Death Stranding showcases the best graphics that I have ever seen in a video game. The character likeness of Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead is uncanny, and the rest of the cast is also treated with the same amount of quality, which is amazing. Too often I've seen where the main character in a video game looks bloody beautiful while secondary characters look like that they weren't given as much care. On top of the character models though is the massive open world that you get to play in. It's the most detailed and thought out world that I have ever seen and played. The visuals are breathtaking and really make the world a character of its own. Seriously, you need to see this to truly appreciate its marvel. Now, in summing up, Death Stranding is a strong entry that offers up the usual philosophical undertones that I've come to expect from a Kojima game. The story becomes very clear and is pretty impressive with scope. The biggest downfall to the game is that it very much outstays its welcome. It's kind of like that neighbor that stops you for a chat that you just can't see a way out of. I finished the game's 15 episodes in 42 hours and it felt like it absolutely didn't need to take that long. Mind you, 42 hours felt like about 84 hours if you ask me. There are far too many occasions where I felt like I was sent to deliver to a faraway land on foot for what seemed to be only for the purpose of extending gameplay time, because some of these on-foot missions take hours on its own. I feel like there was enough in the game to appreciate it without these long nonsensical travel pieces. Overall, I did really enjoy Death Stranding. But at times I cursed it for holding back story progression in favour of mind-numbing sections of gameplay. I'm glad to have experienced Death Stranding, but it's a really hard game to recommend to people en masse. If you are experimental with your choice in games and have some time, definitely go check it out because it's a brilliant game. If you have a specific taste in games that are simple and fun, you're not likely to finish the third episode. Well, that's all for today, so thank you very much for checking out this video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Catch you all next time, but until then, I am Lucas, and I will see ya!